Hey everybody, I'm John the Other, and I'm a little worked up today. I'm a little annoyed because I read an article yesterday that was, from a newspaper that was a couple of days old, talking about the CFL, the Canadian Football League, which nobody cares about, and that they're going to spend a couple of $1 million to stop violence against women. Violence against women. In case you're unaware, that is code. That's political language for domestic violence, violence between partners, intimate partner violence, or family violence. But the phrase violence against women is a political piece of terminology that is used to mean domestic violence, but it's a lie. That phrase is a lie. That's why I'm annoyed. I don't like being lied to. But this is not just an annoying lie. It's not just a lie that leads you into misdirection or bad decisions or a failed comprehension of the world. The lie, violence against women, is designed to represent in the minds of the public the idea that domestic violence is men beating on women. Primarily men beating on women. Women are the primary victims, men are the primary aggressors. That's the fiction, that's the lie. Now, coming from the domestic violence industry, the grievance industry, women's shelters and halfway houses and government agencies and nonprofit organizations and universities and education outreach programs, all of whom using the phrase violence against women, all of them are lying. They're the experts. They know that it's not violence against women, it's interpartner violence, it's family violence. They know that women initiate and aggress in violent family dynamics as much as men do. They also know that the primary victims aren't women, they're children, and that the primary abusers of children, of violent abusive children, the most common aggressors against their own children are mothers and female family members, adult family members. So the excuse that we call it violence against women might be, that's the biggest subsection of it. No, the biggest subsection of it is children being the victims and women being the abusers. So the phrase violence against women is a purposeful and malicious misdirection to prevent any policies which emerge to stop it from working. Because if your policies are built on fantasy, they won't work to stop some problem in reality. Imagine, say, the fire department raising money to fight fires and talking only about we stop fires in south-facing walls. We've got to stop burning south-facing walls. And they raise money and they build their firefighting policies based on stopping the fires in south-facing walls. Well, if they attended structure fires with a firefighting plan that only dealt with south-facing walls, every single structure that the fire department attended would burn to the ground and the people in it would die. And the public would see instantaneously how fucking insanely, destructively, criminally stupid that was, and the people in charge of creating and maintaining those fight south-facing fire policies would be jailed or institutionalized in mental hospitals. And yet, in the domestic violence industry, we keep hearing the so-called experts talking about violence against women, ignoring the fact that it's not a women victimizing problem. That's just a subsection, it's not the most important or significant. Their policies that emerge from that can't stop it because that's not an accurate description of it. In fact, there's an academic model of domestic violence called the Duluth model, which is built on no research. It's purely ideological. And it says that all violence, even that committed by women against children and against men, against their boyfriends, violence committed by lesbians against lesbians in lesbian partnerships, all of that is actually male violence somehow magically transposed into the violent actions of a female violent aggressor. It's magical thinking up cloud cuckoo land nonsense. And it's designed to not stop domestic violence, because if you stop it, then you stop getting money from the government and the public to do that. So the lie that demonizes men and makes women afraid and keeps little kids getting beat by their parents, beaten by their mothers and their aunts and their female relatives, beating little kids, the beating of little kids, which warps their brains, makes them violent personalities, and they grow up and they propagate violence. All of that is kept going by stop violence against women because the policies which emerge can't stop it. They're based on fantasy. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of people who think I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just pulling this all out of my butt. I'm angry. I'm a misogynist. I'm a rape apologist. Blah, blah, blah. That I haven't, read the research. That I'm just making this up. I don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't read any books. I haven't spent years studying this. Oh, my God. No, you know what? They haven't read the research. Or they've only read the literature handed out by their women's shelter or their feminist organization at a university, because those guys have a vested interest to keep the violence happening, because that keeps the money flowing. The cost of this is little kids getting beat on, growing up and becoming violent. And they have the goddamn nerve, and they did this a couple of years ago, to put up a poster with a little boy with a bloody nose, showing the little boy, a little child, who had been beaten by an adult, probably his mother, and still calling that violence against women. The criminality, the fraud, the sheer colossal evil viciousness of this fucking domestic violence industry, which keeps using this phrase, lying to you to steal your money and keep the people in violent relationships being violently abused. It makes me a little angry. It makes me a little pissed off. And when you hear that phrase, or you read it, or you hear it on the radio, or you see it in a bus stop, violence against women, understand you're being lied to with the purpose of keeping violence happening and money flowing. Thanks very much for watching, and have a lovely day.